and welcome to As It Comes, live from a musician's point of view. I'm Davina, I'm a freelance cellist based in London, and I'm sick again. I'm not going to bore you with the details, apart from the fact that my declining health was inevitable, according to my GP. If you spend your days on a tour bus, which essentially acts as an incubator for germs, then you're going to get ill. He's Irish. So isn't that a pleasant image, being in an enclosed space with a whole lot of sick, germy musicians? Please do excuse my slight nasal congestion in this episode. This episode is part 2 of my chat with Jingle Elms, talking about writing music for computer games and how that's totally different from writing music for the concert hall. In the wise words of Yoda, you must unlearn what you have learned. This was recorded in mid-November 2019, so there's also some seasonal festive chat. Here it is. Talking about what you're up to at the moment, you're currently composing music for a computer game.
Yes.
Woo!
Madness.
How do you feel about that?
Very strange. It's a lot of fun. It is like a very different world.
Yeah.
Because it's like what you thought you knew about structure, you can throw that in the bin, because it's basically nothing is linear.
Yeah.
Unless there's like a cutscene or like something very specific that needs a linear piece of music. It is so cyclical.
Yes.
And it is so... Have you ever seen some of the Lutoslawski scores where he uses so there's esoteric material and you come to like a certain juncture in the music and you have a choice between like esoteric material A or esoteric material B, and you can choose which of these like boxes you divert to, basically. Yep.
Choose your own adventure.
Yeah, basically. And you've kind of got to think in that mentality, like, if you're saying that it's like you're gonna create some music in which you, Davina, are in a room and there's a football and you're going to kick the football into the goal. So we might have some tinkly, tinkly twinkles while you're just sort of walking around. But then when you kick the ball, the music wants to change when you kick the ball. But then, of course, there's like, well, does the music go in the goal? Does the ball go in the goal, or does the ball miss?
So you have to come up with loads of different options.
You've just got to think you've got to be super logical about it, because even in all this, like, we can't control what the player does. So what if the player just sits on the ball and pops it, or like just leaves? What if they just leave instead? And it's like, you probably wouldn't build a game where you just sit on a ball instead of kicking it. You might. You'd be surprised what games are out there, though. So I was introduced to this game on the Nintendo Switch. Yeah. I was up in Scotland. I was at my friend's place, and he was like, "Oh, you've got to play this game. It's called Untitled Goose Game." Yes,
it's hilarious. Yes. So basically, you were just a horrible, horrible goose. And you've even got a dedicated honking button. Days. I think if you press Y or something, you just go and you're just in this village just pissing people off, and you have these objectives like get into the pub or earn a rose from a local or get inside a box.
Amazing.
It's so funny, but the music in that is absolutely hilarious. It's almost like you can imagine someone tinkling along on a piano accompanying a silent film. Yeah. It's quite improvisatory. Yeah. But when there's drama, for example, when the master of the pub is showing you out and you're honking away, it's like... And then other times you'll just be skulking along like a goose.
Classic goose skulk. I really want to play that. Me and Julia, we really like geese, and we saw it advertised. Like, this looks absolutely hilarious, and it's like the sound of the padding on the floor, like it's pads. It's so satisfying. Pads. Yeah, it's so nice.
I'm tempted to buy it. It's only £18.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, Christmas time.
It's coming round. Get it.
Untitled Goose.
Is that? It's probably inadvertent advertising, isn't it?
Oh no,
it's fine though, isn't it?
We're not getting sponsorship from.
I think they're from your rivals, Australia.
I believe they are Australian. Yeah.
Untitled cheeses.
Untitled Goose Game.
Untitled Goose Game. What's a delight.
I'm fascinated by video game music because it's a gateway for a lot of people to access this kind of music. For example, there are so many more concerts of video game music
Sure.
being put on now.
Sure.
And it's really interesting to see the characters that go to these
Right.
concerts.
Like in fancy dress.
Yeah, all dressed up and
Yeah.
various things. And I played in a concert recently, and it was music for Assassin's Creed.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know that game at all,
Yeah.
but a lot of people do.
Right.
And there are many, many games, as I found out.
Yes.
But there would be a character projected on the screen
Yeah.
above the stage, and then everyone would just go mental.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
And
amazing.
you'd play that particular character's leitmotif or something.
Right.
And everyone would just be like cheering and...
Freaking out.
Yeah.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember it's one of Julia's friends, McGill, was saying that they were just organising like a standard student concert at this like little space where they'd normally get like, 20, 30 people, and they were like, let's do the music from the Final Fantasy series.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, absolutely rammed. Just like people flew from different countries to come and see it. And
Yeah.
it's like, this was supposed to be like a student concert, and everyone's just like, yes!
People love that stuff, though.
It's
don't
amazing,
They? Because you
yeah.
have such... It's so evocative of the memories you have
Yeah.
and the challenges faced in playing particular games that no wonder people jump at the opportunity to see it.
Yeah, I think the immersion factor as well is like a huge thing to play, because like, well, maybe not Untitled Goose Game unless you truly feel at one with the goose, but like there are some things that, depending on like when in your life you play something, kind of like reading a book or seeing a film, it will have a kind of poignancy.
Yeah.
Or like some sort of meaning to you, because the games have transcended so far beyond entertainment to a point of like genuine emotive storytelling or experiential stuff. Yeah, I mean, you can of course have like the same fun or daft things or pointless things as you can in any format at all. But it's surprising how few people in some sort of walks of life still kind of frown upon it in a way.
Absolutely.
It's a funny thing, because it's like, well, have you actually like played a game in the past like decade? And they're like, well, no. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
then
I remember staying with some hosts down in Devon, and I don't know how we got talking about this, but I was talking about video games, and I was talking about Super Mario Odyssey, which
Right.
is such an incredible game. I love it so much. But they just sort of looked down their noses at me and said,
oh, really?
we don't play video games
Oh,
in this
mad.
household. And I just think, well, it's another form of popular culture, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like TV,
Yeah.
film, just music as a whole.
Yeah.
And if you're going to just completely dismiss video games, then you might as well completely dismiss film or TV or any of those.
It's
like,
funny, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't play video games. It's like, oh, do you never watch a film then? Do you not read books?
It's like I think it's like definitely it feels like a generational divide. There are very few people of our generation I know that would sort of dismiss it in the same sort of way. Actually when we move in down here to like Brighton, we looked at one place, and it was the owners of the house didn't live there, they rented it out, but the owners were showing us around, and in one of the rooms the tenants had like a collection of board games on the wall. That was like an inner burp I just did in that sentence. That was remarkable. Meow.
Can't wait to see that on the waveform.
And that's it. In a bed cat, as we call it. Bed cat. Do you know this?
Bed cat.
Bed cat. It's like, it can be called bed cat or inner trump. So you get inner trumps mainly, I found, on London transport, where you're sort of sat there and your stomach will make like quite a significant growl, and it will sound and give off the same vibration as a trump fart,
yeah, okay.
but it's not.
Yeah.
You're pretty sure the person beside you has either A, heard it, or B, sensed it.
Yep.
You have to kind of look them in the eye and be like, it was an inner trump, don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. But you can't always say that,
No.
because it breaks the London etiquette of
Talking.
not talking to people. Yeah. So that just happened.
Well, thanks for clearing that up.
Oh yeah, so the board game. There we go. So I looked at the shelf of board games and I was like, oh, like that's a lot of board games. And the guy like looks at me and goes, "It is beyond me," like this really dramatic voice. And I was like, and he couldn't comprehend that like someone would play board games.
So enthusiastic about a thing.
Yeah, it was like it just sort of
Really?
like materialized from Lord of the Rings for a moment. And be like, it is beyond me.
Wait, who was saying this?
So this was the landlord of the house
Oh,
talking
okay.
about his
About
tenants'
his
collection.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he's probably got some weird collection.
That's it, just
You
like a room full of like swan necks or something.
Yeah, a room full of teeth.
This is a fantastic swan, wonderful, delicious. That's a bit weird.
Yeah, it's a little bit creepy.
It is a
Swans,
bit.
not geese, no.
Probably not. Well, because you're not allowed to kill swans. Only the queen can kill a swan.
How can you have swans' necks then without killing them?
I don't know. Well, no, so he definitely killed the swan.
Right.
I've sort of developed this character a few levels beyond. So he's quite entitled to the point that he's happy with killing a swan,
Right.
even though the queen is the only one that can do that.
Yeah.
And so he's just got a room full of swan necks, and he's like,
this is taking quite a sinister turn.
well, it could be viewed as sinister, yeah.
It's not particularly well-meaning noise.
No, that's
like
true.
The Hull accent. Was it Hull?
The
Geordie.
Geordies, yeah.
Geordie accent.
Well-meaning noise. Yeah.
Well-meaning noise. Interesting. How would you compose a theme for that character?
For the swan neck man,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't accept the job, to be honest, if it was the same guy. It's beyond me. That's kind of mad. But yeah, no, the game soundtrack's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's like it's been a massive like learning curve for me, dealing with like the kind of the non-linear structures, as I said, and then and having to think about material and musical gestures that can repeat, that can loop, without giving the sensation that something is just on loop.
Yeah.
Like I spent years getting away from feeling like anything was on a grid, and even if I do stuff which has like a sense of pulse, I spend a lot of effort working on ways to disrupt that and break it apart, so it's not just a cyclical thing.
Yeah.
But to be actively working in a medium where like that is a prerequisite and still trying to make it musical is a big challenge, because you're kind of thinking about technological restraints or constraints before you've even put like a note on the page.
Yeah.
This is kind of mad. Oh, you got it as well.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's it.
Oh, I think it's the coffee. I'm just
It's the
like,
coffee.
Yeah, I mean, it just brings to mind when you play something like Mario Kart and the music just has to go on forever and ever because you do a lap or something.
Yeah.
Quite often, yeah, you don't get to the end of a piece from one of those tracks because either it just sort of loops into the next iteration,
Yeah.
or you pass the final lap thing and it goes da 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 da.
It's the passion with which on your face as you sung that really sold it.
And then it starts again. There's no end.
Play forever. Yeah, no, there is some wicked music coming out of the sort of games industry that are like very...
What are some of your favourites?
Some favourites of recent years... I'd probably go... So there's a game that came out, I think it was 2014, called Hyperlight Drifter. It was an independent game. And the guy that wrote the music goes by the name Disaster Piece. And it's a really, really interesting blend of like synthetic sounds, almost at times like kind of chiptune, where you have, kind of old school, like 16-bit or 8-bit console sort of sounds. 8-bit was a better example, yeah. 16 is probably too high fidelity,
technical.
Isn't it?
I love 8-bit stuff. I think it's great.
So there are elements of that, but there's a lot more sort of... It's not just chiptune, is what I'm saying. There are only elements of that, but everything else has a much higher resolution, a much higher quality. But there were even like these moments of like kind of Debussy-and like French impressionism in it on like these piano flourishes.
So it's a mixture of, as you say, synthetic sounds and acoustic.
Yeah, but everything is treated and manipulated in a way to make it sound cohesive. But the thing about it, which is so good, is that it is just so evocative of this particular world that the team have created.
What's the game about?
So you're kind of you're basically trying to find a kind of... I don't know. you're trying to find...
It's too complicated already. I want Untitled Goose Game.
You're basically... You're like this little person who is like on this planet and you're attempting to try and find some sort of cure for this ailment that you have. You'll keep coughing and having like this black rain appearing and this evil boss. The reason why it's hard to answer is that there's no text in the whole game. The entire thing is just done with imagery. It's really, really interesting. Yeah. It's all done through the images, through the sound, and through the gameplay. The main creator of the game suffers from a heart condition, and I know in an interview he spoke about how this is sort of, the game is kind of representative of his own struggle and sort of dealing with this issue. So that's kind of my take on what the gameplay experience is, but it's just such a magical world that they've created with it. And the music is so evocative of it, and it's kind of, at times it feels like relatively simple, but it works, but then at other moments it's just this like beautiful flourishes and like immersion factor to it. It's just a really unique sound. Another good one recently would be, who was it, probably the first Banner Saga. I don't know if you played that. The composer is Austin Wintory. He did one of the Assassin's Creeds, actually. So maybe you played.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe you played some of it.
Played some of his long notes.
But this is kind of set in like Icelandic lore, kind of. So there are big like giants that it's kind of like it's a cross between these little games of chess with like these kind of giant people or humans that you move around a board. Then with these like hand-drawn animatics and immersive storytelling moments. But the music for that, I think, it opens with this awesome like brass chorale, which is always a winner being from Yorkshire. Everyone loves a brass chorale. But then what's so nice is that it's just very well-written orchestral music, and it was played by, I think it was the Dallas Winds that played it. It seems like a stupid comment, but to have the character of like a wind band playing on a game score is quite unusual, because a lot of people are taking influence from a Hollywood model, which is like brass and strings, throw the woodwind in the bin. Yeah, exactly.
Throw the woodwind in the bin.
Like it happens a lot. People will, unless it's like super low register stuff, like, which is helping support, like, the kind of the farty brass where they write in thirds at the bottom. Sure. You get it on most film trailers with like taiko drums underneath it as well.
Oh, totally. Yeah, there's a lot of minor thirds in film music these days, aren't there?
So farty brass syndrome like is all over the place. To hear the variety of like the individual timbres and characters of this Dallas Wind group is like, it's just really quite enchanting. The music's very well written. It's really evocative. And also what I quite like as well is because the first game was all done on Kickstarter.
Oh, yeah.
So it was all raised. You can kind of tell in the production, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, you can kind of tell that they were restricted to the amount of takes that they could do.
Yeah.
So there are times where you might hear like a split note or there's a bit of noise.
Yeah.
They didn't have the chance to go back and fix it.
But I like that.
But what I was going to say, it's really nice because it feels like this genuine performance, if you like, in the game, which is
brings that
rare.
Human element to it.
Yeah, exactly.
We're used to everything being so polished and so perfect. And then I think it does illustrate the time and effort that's gone into making this game.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people, like, for example, those people in Devon that I was talking about before, a lot of people don't realise the work that goes into these sorts of productions. And so they can think, oh, it's very lowbrow.
Yeah, exactly.
But actually, it is a genuine form of performance art.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, some of the people I work with at the moment, like, I have no idea what they do. Like, they sort of, like, mash a keyboard and then, like, they teach a computer to, like, do things. It's mad, like coding Gandalfs or something.
I was stepping into your studio earlier.
Sure.
I didn't really know what any of those contraptions were. That looks cool. Dad knows how to use all of those. Maybe he used them to write my jingle.
I did.
I love hearing about video games and computer games, so thank you for that insight. Let's move on.
Right.
So I mentioned to you that there'd be some surprise questions.
Oh, here we go.
Oh my god.
Boom.
This is the wildcard question round, where you have the chance to choose what I ask you next.
Oh my god. Okay.
How do you feel? That's not one of the questions. How do you feel?
Oh, yeah, no, fine. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
All right. So you have the choice from Christmas, memorable concerts, childhood fantasies.
That is... And what are the...
Topics.
They're just topics.
There's a topic and then a question.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Let us go with, as it's coming up, let's go Christmas.
What are you doing for the holidays?
I will be here.
What?
In Hove. So this is going to be like literally the first Christmas that me and Julia have spent together.
Are you having an orphan Christmas?
We're having... What?
An...
Just watching Oliver on repeat. Absolutely great.
An orphan Christmas is when you have Christmas just by yourselves, but with no family, no parents.
Yes, so we're having an orphan Christmas.
So you looked really shocked when
I
I
didn't
said
know
that.
what that meant. Yeah,
What?
so yeah, no, we've been together like 8 years,
Yeah.
and this will be our first Christmas together. How mad's that?
Oh, wow. But just you guys together, as in...
Yeah.
Because you've done Christmas together, but with
No.
your families and...
No, never.
you've never?
Never, no.
So you're always apart during Christmas. You guys will have a great time.
Mad. So yeah, so we'll be
Yeah.
here just getting indigestion from more pastries. Not
Lovely.
a problem.
Probably
Yeah.
not Julia, though. She'll explode.
Sans gluten, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. We have orphan Christmases all the time.
Is it?
Yeah, is it?
What's
It is.
your run me through it? How does it operate?
You can do whatever you like.
Go on.
There's no sort of structure to the day.
So last year, run us through what you did.
Wake up
Yeah.
or get
Classic.
woken up by Cat,
Classic.
Romeo,
Yeah.
assistant producer. Have some breakfast of some sort. Put whatever feature item.
Probably Oliver, Orphan Christmas.
Yeah. Well, not Oliver, I think.
Not Oliver.
Yeah, feature item on the projector.
On the projector,
Yeah. It gets
2019. What's going on there?
It
What do you
gets
mean?
its annual outing. It's usually something like Jurassic Park,
Yes.
Home Alone,
Yes.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Love a
Anything
good-
with music by John
yeah,
Williams.
John Williams,
That's fine,
exactly.
yeah.
And then last year, our oven actually broke. So that was fun.
Literally
really
horrendous. Oh,
good
no.
timing. But yeah, we tend to Skype family in the morning.
Yeah.
So it'll be in New Zealand their Christmas day, but like nighttime.
I'm with you.
And they'll
Yeah.
all be outside probably, having enjoyed a lovely summer day.
Ah.
Weird, isn't it?
So did you microwave your turkey last year?
No, we had a ham actually, and with a bit of Googling, we realised that you can actually boil a ham.
You can. So boiling a ham, I did know about. What I didn't know about was the word goodling.
Did I say Googling?
With a bit of goodling.
Googling.
Oh, googling.
Googling, yeah.
Oh, googling.
Can I
Oh,
say,
that makes.
I'm going to say all of that again.
No, I like this goodling.
Yeah. So
With
with
a bit of googling.
Google. I'm sure I said Googling.
Oh, you probably did. I just misheard it. But I quite like. I think we should maybe use googling. It sounds like using a bit of know-how.
But then
Just Google it.
I'm thinking about how you would pronounce it, having seen it written down. It would just look like Goodling.
Goodling.
Mm.
Goodling.
Goodling.
Sounds very German. Goodling.
Goodling. Ja, genau. Goodling. Yeah, and Orphan Christmas is fantastic because you'll get to do whatever you like. London, in particular, is quite nice at that time of year because no one is in it.
Yep. Yeah, I
very
recall
quiet.
that. Yeah, I remember that when we lived in Greenwich. I got the train back, I think, once on like the 26th or 27th. And it was like,
Where is it?
what is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 28 days later. It was mad.
So, what's your game plan for Orphan Christmas?
No
2019?
idea yet. First one. So
The day is yours.
probably get that egg and chive breakfast on the go.
Yeah.
Classic.
Lovely.
You know what? I literally don't know what I'm going to do. I'm freaking out now because like I've not done one before.
You'll probably do what normal people end up doing just on a weekend.
What's that?
Yeah, exactly.
Like what is like?
What is a weekend?
It's mad. Like there's so I think like hanging out with so many musos, you kind of lose scope on like what is norm or conventional.
Oh, absolutely.
Like this year, I invited some friends from Yorkshire down for my birthday, and they're like, "Is that a Monday?" I was like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Absolutely not. What are you thinking?
Yeah,
What are
yeah.
you thinking?" I was like, "Oh, sorry."
Yeah. Well, it's like I guess Mark and I got married on a Monday, and
Of course, yeah.
and that was great because most musicians were able to come.
Chamberoki.
Yep. Well remembered.
I remember Chamberoki.
Yep. That was good fun.
That was good fun. As was the pizza.
Oh, the pizza van.
The pizza van.
Yeah.
That's mad.
Yeah.
Just when you thought you were full, have a whole pizza.
Have a pizza, guys.
Treat yourself.
Yeah. Our pleasure. How are your wedding plans going?
They are rolling. We are attempting to meet with some caterers, but have been very inactive in terms of actually seeing them. So my sister and her husband have very kindly donated their skills to the cause.
Oh, amazing.
So my sister will be doing like the decorations and stuff. That'll be pretty cool. She did her own decorations this year and it was amazing. So that's awesome that we're going to be able to kind of have her on board for that. And then her husband, also called Dan, he's doing like all the chocolate and cake stuff.
Oh.
And he's like a kind of chocolate wizard. So like it's gonna be so good. Like everything he makes is amazing.
Yeah.
Like I think he puts stuff in it.
Puts stuff in it.
Yeah.
Gosh,
like,
that's gonna be a fun wedding.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
'Cause, like at their wedding, like he was sort of he did all the catering for his, and like.
He did all the catering for his own wedding.
Oh, sorry, for like the sweets, yeah,
Okay.
the sweets. But like he made a lot of them.
Wow.
But as he was explaining what they were, I was like looking around the room, and like everyone was like just sort of like on the edge of the seats, like going yes. They're just like he's like I don't know what like everyone's addicted to it. I don't know what he's doing.
Oh my gosh, that sounds incredible.
That's good. So we'll have some chocolate addicts created at our wedding, if nothing else.
That sounds lovely.
Yes.
Yeah. No, you got to enlist the help of your friends and family.
That's it, isn't it? You got to do it.
Yep.
You got to do it.
And quite often, nothing will happen for a very long time, and then I say quite often as if I've gone married like loads of times. I swear, just the one time. Yeah, nothing happens for ages in terms of organising and logistics, and then it all happens 2 weeks before when everyone wants their deposits.
Oh God, yeah.
Well, the rest of their deposit, I should say. Yeah,
nightmare.
That's fun.
Yeah, no, it's kind of mad. Thanks. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the stress.
Yeah, giving up all of your money.
Let it go. So, I just realised I sung the words "Let It Go," but then realised that's actually a song as well. And then people will be thinking he didn't sing the right melody. But then what happened is the melody I only remembered it after that I'd sung the words.
Oh, it's fine. You don't need to.
It is literally a nightmare.
What, the song?
That as well, but the situation that I've just put myself in is a dystopian nightmare.
Please don't write
Dystopian.
Dystopian, yeah. Just
throw an extra letter in.
I feel like a lot of this conversation has been quite dystopian and surreal.
I've had a great time as well.
The geese,
it's been wonderful.
The swan neck.
Yeah, the swan neck was a bit abstract, actually, wasn't it?
So, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Oh, absolute pleasure.
Where
Thanks
can
for having
people having us? Yes.
You and
Yorkshireism.
Yorkshireism.
Yeah.
Plural.
Where can people follow you and keep up to date with your upcoming work?
So I'm on Twitter, which is at Daniel Elms, and if you're into very sort of niche Polaroid pictures, then I'm also on Instagram.
Hey.
Daniel Elms Music.
Hashtag Instax.
Hashtag Insta. All about the instant photography.
It's very cool.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. Little snapshot of right in the moment.
Little snap. Yeah, the only thing is paying for
the film.
Absolute nightmare.
That's something we don't really have to think about too much.
That's it. But if you want to go full hipster, you got to spend that Polaroid cash.
Yep.
You got to do it. So there's that. And then if you want for most up to date work, it'd be danielelms.co.uk. So some stuff coming out in the new year that I'm pretty excited by.
Yeah.
So you can get all updates on that. Yeah.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you once again for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
And I'm going to tuck into my pastry now.
Yes!
Yay!
Pastry time.
Thanks, Dan.
Bye.
That was Jingle Elms, and I hope you enjoyed the second half of our coffee-fueled, slightly gassy chat. I definitely said Googling, although maybe we should bring Googling into everyday vernacular. We had such a great time and then took photos on his Instax camera. You can head to Instagram to find evidence of our slightly delirious photo shoot. This episode's Music College Didn't Prepare Me comes from inspiration from Abby via Instagram. I asked via Instagram story, what's something Music College didn't prepare you for? And she replied, spending 100,000 hours Whoa. Travelling to play for 2 hours. It's so true, though. I think musicians spend more time travelling, whether it be on trains, planes or cars, than actually playing. Earlier this year, I drove over 2 hours to get to a sound check, of which I was required for 12 entire minutes. That's 720 seconds. I then had a break of over 4 hours because I wasn't needed until after the interval of the concert. I asked in an Instagram poll, what's an acceptable amount of time to travel to a gig? A third of respondents said an hour, a third said 3 hours, and the remaining third said 10 hours. But only if the gig's somewhere sunny and nice. 10 hours is just horrific otherwise. I have to say, though, perhaps this only applies to the UK, as travel times and transport infrastructures are different in other countries. When I lived in Sydney, the guideline was that it would take you 40 minutes to get basically anywhere. Anything beyond that, you just wouldn't do. You'd think, couldn't they just get a local player? Couldn't they just get someone from Canberra? And when I go back to New Zealand, I forget how the scale of one's commute is significantly downsized. A few years ago, I went back to Auckland for some work, having been living in London for a couple of years. My friend offered me a lift to the town hall for a 10 a.m. rehearsal, stating, "Oh, we better leave early to get there in enough time." She picked me up from my mum's house at 9:35, and we got to the town hall with 10 minutes to spare to warm up even. Mental. You couldn't even attempt that here in London, unless the gig was literally next door. But even then, I'm sure some bizarre chain of events would prevent you from getting there on time. The closer you live to a gig, the higher the chance of you being late. You think, oh, I've got loads of time. It's just down the road. I'll have another coffee. Oh, crap, I better go. Oh, crap, damn it. I've missed the downbeat. If you have an experience that music college didn't prepare you for, then tell me, and I can share it on the podcast, hopefully without a blocked nose. Email me at asitcomespodcast@gmail.com. If you're on Instagram, keep an eye out for my story polls, because I've just learned how to do that. Game changer. That's it for today. Special thanks to Ros Nagy for my logo, and Daniel Elms once again for my jingle, and for being a delightful guest. What a champ. And as always, thank you for listening. Always great to hear from listeners, so get in touch with me at asitcomespodcast@gmail.com. Like and follow the podcast on Facebook and Instagram at asitcomespod. Remember to rate and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and spread the word. Thanks to everyone who already has. Chat to you soon. Bye.